Howdy and welcome back to Barrel Hitch Trading. Always journal only, never advice. And notice the disclaimer. All right, today's Monday, Wednesday, Friday recap. You notice these are static screens and a little bit of change on this one I'll talk about. But filming this one midday and it's coming out, well, when you guys see it, posted tonight. So Monday you saw the ugly one, and Tuesday was not much better, still on tilt. And then Wednesday, the reason it didn't post is, frankly, I had commitments at night. But it was basically a flat day, a good recovery day. And then today is the real important day. So pulling out of the dive on Wednesday was 1/3 of the time as last time, but big today is the lesson that I learned this week, because I didn't learn it on the last tilt. I just didn't notice it, the pattern on my trading. So what we are going to talk about today, what I want to focus on that I did that got me back on system, as well as the other things, but it was a mechanical change, not a psychological one. So what I'm going to talk about is focused on this top slide. So you guys that have been with me for a minute, you've seen 9 trades is actually a lot for me, right? However, in a day like this, that can sometimes happen, right? Because it's a trend day. There's just a lot of bounce, go, bounce, go, bounce, go. And so those opportunities are there. I did have a loss today. You can see the red down here. However, the very biggest thing that I wanted to point out today is this. 9 trades, and for the day, 8 out of 9, average return 3.24% per trade on 9 trades, including the loser. Average hold time, 2 minutes, 53 seconds. That is the system I designed, and that is me executing at almost peak performance, which is a big deal for me, because that last spiral tilt that I had a couple of months ago lasted 6 trading days, right? Wandering in the woods trying to get out of it. This time 2 trading days. I was down on Wednesday, but it was well within reasonable bounds, and bouncing around. It was, I don't know, 1% drawdown, but I had 2 like 6% drawdown days, and it was because of poor system execution. You guys that watched the last Monday, Wednesday, Friday recap from the first saw that. It was, the chart looked pretty with the hitch kicker indicators like it does today, right? You see top, bottom, and this is this one's a good indicator for exit, but you also see, what did it call? Yeah, did it still go up? But you see here, boom, that's basically flat, and then kick off, right? So that's what the other day looked like on there. Just my execution didn't match it. And so, and again, those are not buy sell signals. That's just another indicator of what's going on inside the curve that I coded. But obviously I can't go through 9 trades today, but this is, oh shoot, it's what, halfway through. Anyway, it's during the lunch break now, because remember I cut off at noon central on my trading. But this is just absolutely key, back on execution. And what was the lesson? Why am I talking about what I did? This, right? So the loss, you can see, is a 16, rounded up, a 16% loser, which for me is massive. I think my average loser in November for the whole month was, I don't know, 2% or less. It was crazy small. Maybe 3%. Anyway, it was crazy small. It was a very good execution month. This loser, I don't know, was somewhere, I think it had to have been in here and out down here, which is bad, right? Because you see how many bars and how long it lasted. Anyway, maybe it was here when it looked like it was bouncing. But anyway, got out because it violated the EMA finally, and it did turn right back in my favor after. However, I was right back in afterwards. Why? Bounce off the EMA, acceleration, right back on system, and you can see right there a 12% winner. and then a couple of more gradual as that curve went on, and then I was done for the day. But you can see here a 10, and I always round them down on the winners, up on the losers, a 10, a 4, a 4, a 4, a 4, minus 16, a 12, a 1, and a 2, right? Overall, 88% win rate today, 3.24% average return. That is a peak execution day for me. That is, oh, and Kelly criterion, those of you that know what that is, 60% today. Same as it was for the month of November. And I forget how many trades I had in November, but it was, if it wasn't 100, it was close. And that's on, well, no, when it was like 60, something like, anyway, it's in the end of month recap, the EOM. But Kelly criterion for the month was 60. Profit factor today was for me, it was a little bit low, right? An on system ice cold execution day for me runs about 4 on the profit factor, 60% Kelly, 75 plus on the win rate, so 3 out of 4 or better, and an average return, you know, well, as high as 4 plus, right? On average with poor days, bad trades, like this is an outsized loser today, even though it was an on-system trade. It just moved quickly against. But yeah, the big lesson is execution over hope, right? So what I really learned about myself this week and was able to recover, apply, that really cut the losers and the risk. So it's, as I talked about in the last Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I have, well, I'm neurodivergent. I have some things that I have to manage every single day that have nothing to do with what a chart looks like, right? That's part of that system building and execution. Well, Monday, Tuesday, as I mentioned, I did a poor job managing those, and I was actually confident going into Tuesday, right? And then repeated it because I was chasing, thought, you know, overconfident, thought I could fix. But really what happened was the realization I made is I was shifting out of my tight control when the trade went against me from the start. But that means the whole understanding the whole point of what I'm doing that I designed, right? And yes, I'm saying I have to understand what I'm doing, is to find these so that I am catching the very first part of a move when there's a burst, which means if I'm in, let's just say it was here, I don't know, like I said, 9 trades, I forget where each one was, but let's say it was here, right? It's coming back up off of that, and then there's 5 minutes right there. I need to be out at that point, because what's true, I didn't catch an inflection in my favor. It flattened out. It looked like it was inflecting, and then within the same bar, it came down, right? But average trade, 2 minutes, 53 seconds. That's a half a bar, folks. So when I don't, this one is, you know, this one's below the structure, so I wasn't in there, but I think I actually did get a trade in here. I was patient to start the day, which was good. This one is poster child. This one is poster child. In on the inflection, out on the burst. But this one, right, you know, well, right in here as well, but right in here where you can see the wick got down there, but it came back up, right? If I'm in, it moves against, need to be back out. Why? Father Time is undefeated. I have to implement and execute a structure that prevents theta from even having a voice in the conversation or a seat at the table. The only way to do that, duration. So again, duration is the new stop loss that I added to my system, and then hard stop, even within that duration, is the EMAs or the VWAP, whatever I am seeing the bounce off of. But that's my lesson for today, and boy, it helped. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you soon. Barrel Hitch Trading, journal only.